Welcome to Power Surge. This is video 3 of a 3-part series. And here's a quick recap. Parts 1 and 2 can be accessed via the links in the description. In the first video, I asked whether AI could build a Revit model from PDF markups. It could, but only after I went back into Revit, added named reference planes, and rewrote the whole prompt around them. It worked, but it wasn't a clean workflow. Then someone left a comment asking whether Bluebeam markup coordinates could replace the reference planes, although the premise was to remove AI altogether. That got me thinking. I tried this in video 2, and this was the result. 34 families were placed across 6 runs, no reference planes, just a Bluebeam CSV and 1 prompt. And now for part 3, where I look at how this workflow can be scaled for mass deployment. Now, there's a setup step that's not obvious, but it's critical. The AI connector can see your grids. It can read their names, but it cannot read their exact positions. If you ask it for the location of grid 1, it returns invalid location. That's a limitation of the MCP connector grids. Just don't expose their coordinates the way other elements do. So we work around it. I ask Claude to read the grids, calculate their positions from bounding boxes, and place a reference plane at each one. It names them with an AI grid prefix. This takes about 2 minutes per store. You do it once, it stays in the model. And here's the nice part, you're asking AI to set up its own coordinate system. It reads the grids, creates the reference planes, and then the placement prompt reads those reference planes back. AI is building its own infrastructure. These 5 families are the seeds, one of each type, parked outside the building. The MCP connector can't create new family instances from scratch, so AI needs an existing instance to copy from. It'll move each seed to its first target position, then batch copy it to every other location. Think of them as rubber stamps. I upload 3 things to Claude. The Bluebeam CSV export, which contains every markup with its coordinates, layer, and dimensions, and the placement prompt, and also the PDF markup itself. This is version 4 of the prompt. It's been refined across a dozen sessions and encodes every lesson learned from videos 1 and 2. The prompt includes a rotation reference for every family type. This is critical, and it took a few failed attempts in video 2 to get right. These rules are baked into the prompt so AI doesn't have to figure them out each time. Before placing anything, AI reads the CSV, queries the grid reference planes, and calibrates the coordinate system. Then it finds the 5 seed families and reads their positions. Now it knows where everything is and where everything needs to go. Now watch. AI calibrates against the grid reference planes and starts placing. Double-sided gondolas, first 32 standard modules across 4 rows, then 6 end caps snapped to the row center lines. Fast movers along the west wall, these don't get rotated because the seed is already oriented correctly. And promo bins, each CSV entry becomes a 2x2 cluster of 4 bins. "72 families placed, but when I zoom in, something's off. The triple ends and pods aren't oriented correctly. This wasn't an AI error, this was a setup error. I placed the seed families in the wrong orientation before starting. The prompt says rotate triple ends and PODs by 90 degrees after placement, and AI did exactly that. But 90 degrees from the wrong starting point still gives you the wrong result. So I corrected the rotation in the same session, told Claude to adjust, and it fixed them. But the real fix is getting the seed orientation right before you start. The prompt's rotation rules assume each seed is placed in a specific default orientation. If your seeds don't match that assumption, every rotation is off. Is it perfect? Mostly. AI placement gets you within a couple of millimeters of the setout plan, which, for a retail fit-out, is well within tolerance. The real value isn't pixel-perfect accuracy. It's that I just placed 72 families in minutes instead of hours. But it only works because of what happened before I opened Claude. Let me show you. This is Bluebeam, and I'm starting with a clean PDF. No markups, no layers, nothing. The first thing I want to show you is the tool chest. This is where the consistency comes from. I've got my Revit family saved as Bluebeam tool chest elements, each one pre-configured with the correct appearance and ready to go. So when I need to place gondolas, I'm not drawing rectangles. I'm dragging a double-sided gondola markup block straight out of the tool chest and placing it on the plan. Now, I'm not going to place 38 of these one at a time. This is where the multiply tool comes in. I place one gondola module at the start of the run, then use multiply to array it along the row. I set the count, set the spacing, and Bluebeam generates the full run in one operation. That's a row of gondolas in about 5 seconds. Let me show you the same thing with pods. I drag a pod out of the tool chest, place it on the plan, then use multiply to array 3 of them. But here's the key, I need the correct spacing. So I use the measure length tool first. I measure the distance between the POD positions on the setout plan, and that gives me the exact array distance to plug into the multiply tool. Now, let me show you the layers. Right now, clean slate, the markups disappear from view. That's because these have been assigned to layers. I turn the fixture layer back on, and just the gondola runs and triple ends come back. Then I turn on AI, families, and the fast movers, pods, and promo bins appear. Each layer controls a category of markups. In order to allocate the markups to these layers, I select the blocks I want to assign in this case. I'll select all the pod blocks and right-click, and in the selection menu, there's a layer option. From there, I can add them to an existing layer or create a new one. Now, when I open the summary panel, notice the markup layer column. This is exactly how the CSV export will be structured. What you see here is what AI will read. Let me turn on the anchor layer. As I select one of the anchor lines, and I can see its properties, including the X and Y coordinates. These are the Bluebeam page coordinates that AI uses for calibration. This is the raw data that ends up in the CSV. Now, by default, the markup summary might not show every column you need. To add data columns, right-click on the markups list heading and add whatever the prompt needs. This is important because the CSV export only includes the columns that are visible in the summary. And finally, the export. Right-click in the markup summary, export to CSV. That's the complete dataset. That's what you upload to Claude alongside the prompt.